Right, let's go on to La Bestia de Gevaudan, Kintsukuroi.
Do you know where
Um,
that comes from? That La Bestia de Gevaudan?
I do, but I'm interested to know what you're going to tell me.
Is it not like a kind of mythical wolf or dog or something that was terrorizing, is it southern France?
Yes, so it's like the Marguerite Mountains of south central France in the 18th century. Whether it's
Whether
mystical,
it's mythical or not, yeah.
mystical, or whether it was real, who knows? But it's almost like I think I read that the sort of the lead member of the band had read in like a werewolf magazine about the beast of Gevaudan,
A werewolf magazine.
and it's like a wolf dog hybrid or something.
Yeah, I think because I was reading about it on Wikipedia, and I think it said that the one theorist suggested that it might have been a wolf, and was it bull mastiff cross or something like that?
Okay.
Don't know, but yeah, apparently it killed a whole bunch of folk, but they eventually caught it.
Oh well. Sucks to be them.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
so it's quite a fitting name for a band because they are at times very heavy. They're a
Yeah.
sort of avant-garde metal band from Chile. Um, and the band features Alonso Bustamante on drums. I hope I'm getting that right. Eduardo Roman on bass and Diego Yanes Aguilera on guitar, vocals, and programming. Um, so this is their Kintsukuroi is their second full-length album. Follows 2013's Triador and the EP's Holler, also released in 2013, and Feral, released in 2015. The album was originally released in July 2019, so it's not new, but it's since been re-released by Ripcord Records on the 15th of January 2021, and that was a physical release on cassette. I think that release has got a couple of extra bonus tracks, which we don't have access to, so we won't cover them. But I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you. I haven't written that down. But Kintsukuroi is it's just 7 songs, but it still runs about 45 minutes. And the opening track is the only track that is less than 6 minutes long. So these are fairly long songs. You could probably just about pigeonhole them as post metal, but I think avant garde metal probably covers it because they do incorporate that sort of signature, elongated, drawn out long passages that are associated with post rock and metal, but they add in all these atmospheric electronic elements, shoegazy instrumental passages, post hardcore elements, and even sort of death metal adjacent growls.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a really cool release. What's your thoughts on it, Grant?
I really enjoyed it, particularly the first track that you said, Caracal, Caracal, Caracal. I felt as if that was kind of similar to the opening track on the Anatomy EP. Again, that was another slow burn, but it really kind of pays off. There's a lot of depth and texture to a lot of these songs. A lot of really interesting little bits, particularly kind of like the second track, whose name kind of escapes me.
Animateria, I think.
Animateria. So they have this really, they kind of utilize this really interesting, quite loud dynamic in the form of like crashing cymbals and a furious kind of drum performance. These really desperate sounding guitars, which kind of fall away around about the kind of 40-second mark, and then we're treated to what sounds like a kind of glockenspiel being played, which I just thought was quite interesting, quite unexpected, and that this kind of quite loud dynamic is played out again throughout the course of the track, and then laterally we're kind of treated to the quintessential kind of metalcore vocals, similar to the type of thing that you were kind of just describing there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this album. There was a number of times where I was just totally caught off awares, like that, for example, and also in the fourth track, having read that they were a Chilean band, you're kind of we're treated to what I've described as blatantly Scottish vocals in the form of a guy or artist called Oliver Melville. So that was a bit out there.
I was really taken aback by that as well. It's like I'm listening to a Chilean metal band. You don't expect to hear, like you say, a blatantly Scottish accent out of nowhere. And I don't know the guy Oliver Melville or his band or one of his bands, 100 Black Kites. I don't really know anything about them, but that is a really cool song actually. What will be beyond? It opens with a sample from the 1939 version of Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
So it's got that kind of I've not written the quote. I can't remember what's the quote. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Okay.
It's got that line, that famous line in it. But it's it kind of launches into like a stomping drum beat and these elongated guitar licks. A lot of these songs remind me of a thing called black gaze, which is if you think of shoegaze and then black metal, and they kind of put them together. And black gaze, there are a bunch of bands like Deaf Heaven, who I've mentioned before. I think when I was talking about going feral, I mentioned Deaf Heaven in the mix there. There's a band called Maul. They're really good. And there's also a band, now they're not really black gaze, but they've got this. If you look at a song like Animateria, it's a really like crusty, like grimy guitar sections. And there's a band called Conjurer from the UK who've got an album called Meyer, and it just reminded me of some of the stuff on there. It's really cool. But then on that same song, you've got there's that repeating tune that's like a music box.
Yeah, that's a really good way to explain it.
The glockenspiel.
Yeah.
But it's really cool and works as like this really cool instrumental before you've got the heavy guitars and the kind of heavy vocals as well. It really works for me.
Absolutely. But even is it the third track is IRG?
Yeah.
They kind of bring in elements of what I've described as like a kind of post-punk, almost new wave aesthetic. The drums kind of take on more of a kind of electronic and synthesized feel. And that was probably one of my most favourite tracks of the album, to be honest, for that reason. Just really stood out.
There's like the bass that comes in at the halfway mark of that song is brilliant. Apparently the song features a guy called Eric Quake, or Quack, of This Quiet Army, who are like apparently are pioneers of the experimental scene in Montreal. I don't know anything about them, but I'm sure I read that on the notes on the album somewhere. But yeah, it's like it's almost like a palate cleanser after the intensity of the previous track. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on this. I mean, there's the song Gigante de Piedra. I don't know what that means. Is that giant feet or something? Like enormous feet?
Possibly.
Because PA is feet in French, so it might be, but the giant feet of the beast, maybe. I'm just making up the meanings of words here, Grant. I don't know. Maybe shouldn't be doing that.
I was going to say, well, I suppose their name's French, isn't it? But they're Chilean.
Yeah, so it's probably got nothing to do with that. Anyway, that song opens with like what sounds like an ultrasound scan or something like that, and it acts as like a metronome. And then the drums on that song are just phenomenal, as they are throughout the album, especially on the opening track as well. The drums are the most like present part of that song, I would say. But yeah, I think this is a really, really good album.
What did you rate it?
I've given it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, so I've kind of followed it up by saying that I don't ordinarily rate stuff from the submission corner. However, I obviously just rated C Starry there. But in my notes, what I've written is similar to the Polish band that we covered in the past, Give Up to Failure.
Yeah, okay.
I think this is such a standout piece. It's an incredibly well put together album. It's got a lot of texture, a lot of depth. The instrumentation is brilliantly produced and thought through, that coalesce into something that is beautifully dark, brooding, and a truly atmospheric masterpiece, is how I've described it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much attention it's got in terms of, you know, their fan base, either in Chile or in the UK, but yeah, I think it's good that it's almost kind of been re-released, and it's probably going to be brought to a new audience thanks to Ripcord Records.
Yeah, because I think the email actually said it hasn't received much press outside of Chile, which is surprising given there's international artists involved on some of these tracks. So yeah, it'll be good. And like you say, it's a good thing it's been re-released, even in just like limited cassette form. But it should hopefully get the band some more recognition, because this is really high quality stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It really is. It really is.
What was your feeling on the like the growling vocals? Like,
it's not normally up my street, to be honest. But I didn't mind it. You know, it's like I said, it's not normally my thing. It's not normally my wheelhouse. But everything else was so good that it didn't really bother me.
Aye. I only asked because I know that's not normally your kind of thing, so I was just curious. But the rest of the elements are so strong that it didn't really matter.
Yeah, more than made up for it.
That's great. So that that was Kintsukuroi by La Bestia De Gevaudan. I said, like,
I can pronounce either of those words.
I gave myself so many difficult things to read, like even the names of the band members. I read them out in full. It just made it harder for myself. But
I think you did pretty well, though.
Yeah, you did okay. So yeah, good album.
It's not finished. It's finished.